Hey freak, cat got your tongue again? The boys' laughter echoed down the sidewalk, bouncing off the brick row houses and rattling in Maya's ears. She didn't flinch. She didn't look up. She just sat there, small and hunched on the edge of the steps, clutching the notebook that never left her side. Another voice, this one mocking sharp. She probably thinks she's too good to talk to normal people. More laughter. Then the sound of feet slapping against wet pavement as the boys ran off, satisfied with the damage they'd done. The drizzle picked up. Autumn leaves skittered across the sidewalk, sticking to Maya's damp sneakers. One lace was completely undone, trailing across the cement like a loose thread unraveling. Maya stared straight ahead. She hadn't spoken in 6 months. Not to anyone. Not since the fire. Not since her world collapsed in smoke and ash. Hey. A voice. But not like the others. This one was soft. Weathered. Careful. Maya blinked and turned just slightly. An older man stood at the foot of the steps. He held a black umbrella and a brown paper bag tucked beneath one arm. His coat was worn but clean and his face, lined with time, carried no threat. Only concern. Mind if I help with that? He asked, nodding to her untied shoe. She hesitated. The old Maya, before, might have said no. Might have run. But she didn't move. He took it as a maybe. With a groan, he knelt down on one knee, balancing the umbrella between his shoulder and chin. His fingers, stiff with age, gently worked the laces into a neat bow. I'm Mr. Ellis, he said as he tied. Most folks around here just call me Ellis. Still no answer. He didn't push. Just smiled faintly and said, Good name you've got, I'm guessing? She looked at him, faintly surprised. It's Maya, she mouthed. No sound. But clear. He nodded, satisfied. Maya. That's a strong name. She swallowed. People can be cruel, Ellis said, rising slowly. Especially when they don't understand something. Maya dropped her gaze. Her lip quivered. My grandmother used to say, don't ever let the world tell you who you are before you figure it out for yourself. Then gently he reached into his paper bag. Pears are in season. Sweetest ones come right before the frost hits. You want one? He offered it out. Maya didn't take it right away. But she didn't refuse either. He laid it carefully beside her on the step. I'll leave it here. In case. He tipped his umbrella in farewell and began to walk off. Wait. The word wasn't spoken. But she reached out, just slightly, her fingertips brushing his coat sleeve. He paused. Thank you, she mouthed. Ellis nodded. I'll be around. That night, back inside the house, Zora sneered when she saw the pair. Seriously? What is this little orphan snack? She snatched it, sniffed it dramatically and tossed it in the trash. Maya watched silent. Mrs. Kincaid didn't even look up from her phone. Later in her room, Maya sat cross-legged on the bed. She opened her notebook and turned to a clean page. At the top she wrote, Ellis. And beneath it in smaller letters, didn't laugh. The next afternoon Maya returned to the steps, early this time. She sat with her notebook clutched tightly in her lap, nervously flipping through blank pages as her eyes scanned the sidewalk. Would he come back? Her heart jumped when she spotted the now familiar umbrella bobbing between the trees. Ellis. He gave her a small wave as he approached, then held up a paper bag again. Apples today, he said. Tart ones. My favorite. He sat beside her without asking, careful not to invade her space. Maya reached for the apple. This time she looked him in the eye and nodded. He smiled. They sat like that, quiet, companionable, as rain drizzled lightly around them. Cars hissed by on the wet road and somewhere, a wind chime clinked out a broken tune. Finally Ellis spoke. You like music? Maya hesitated, then pulled out her notebook and wrote, Used to. He glanced over, reading with a nod. My house is just around the corner. I got a piano. It's a little out of tune, but she's got soul. Maya's fingers twitched. You can come by sometime. No pressure. Just thought you might want a place where people don't shout. She wrote again, Okay. Not today. That's fair, he said. But 2 days later she knocked on his door. The inside of Ellis's home smelled like lemon oil and old wood. Books were stacked in leaning towers, and records lined the walls like trophies from another life. In the corner sat the piano. It was upright, scratched, and faded, but beautiful in the way forgotten things often are. A blanket was draped over the top, and an old stool sat before it. She's been waiting, Ellis said, crossing the room slowly. Lost my fingers years ago in an accident. Well, not literally, but they won't do what I tell 'em anymore. Arthritis. She's been quiet ever since. Maya stepped closer, placing a hand on the polished wood. The surface was cool under her palm. You can try, he offered. If you want. She sat down. Pressed one key. A low, trembling note rang out. Her hands hovered, uncertain, before she dared another, then another. Soon she was playing a slow, cautious scale. Ellis didn't interrupt. When she finished, she looked over nervously. He gave a soft clap. See? She remembers you. Maya smiled, for the first time in months. A real one. Small, crooked, but real. Back at the Kincaids that evening, everything shattered. Zora barged into Maya's room, grabbed her notebook off the bed. Let's see what secrets the mute's been scribbling. Maya lunged, trying to snatch it back, but Zora was too fast, too loud. Mrs. Kincaid poked her head in. What's all the noise? She's been sneaking around again. Probably writing about all the old men she's talking to. Maya froze. Mrs. Kincaid sighed. Just give it a rest, Zora. She didn't. She tore a page from the notebook and tossed the rest onto the floor. Maya stood there shaking. When they left, she gathered the scattered pages and pressed them to her chest. Her fingers were trembling. She couldn't cry. She could only write. That night, she returned to the piano in her mind. The feel of the keys. The sound of Ellis's voice. You can try. From that week forward, Maya visited Ellis's house every Sunday after school. She never rang the bell, just knocked once, gently, and waited. He always answered with a smile and a fruit in hand. Bananas. Clementinas. Once a mango. I like to keep you guessing, he'd joke. Inside, the piano was waiting. At first, she played clumsy scales. Then half-songs Ellis scribbled out on yellowing sheet music. His hands, curled and aching, hovered close, not to correct but to encourage. You don't have to play perfect, he told her. Just play honest. One rainy afternoon, as thunder rolled outside, Ellis placed a small stack of handwritten music on the bench beside her. These are mine, he said. Wrote them back when my wife was alive. She used to sing while I played. He paused. She had a voice like warm tea. Nothing fancy. Just comfort. Maya traced the staff lines on the page. One piece was titled, For E. She passed before I could finish it, he added softly. Maya looked up at him, then down at the music again. Her fingers itched to try it. Ellis noticed. You can take it home. Just bring it back. She nodded, carefully sliding the sheets into her notebook. At school, Maya was still silent. Still an easy target. In the cafeteria, Zora made a show of dropping Maya's lunch on the floor by accident. Oops. Guess someone's gonna starve. Laughter again. Like it always was. But this time someone else spoke. Why don't you leave her alone, Zora? Joy. A girl with tight braids and glasses too big for her face. She stepped forward, arms crossed. Zora rolled her eyes. Why do you care? Because I do. And you're boring. Maya watched, stunned. Joy helped her pick up the scattered apple slices and handed them back. You okay? She whispered. Maya wrote on her napkin, Thank you. Joy grinned. You're welcome, mystery girl. That night, Maya sat at the old keyboard Ellis gave her, a gift rescued from his basement. Dusty but tuned. A little wobbly. She placed For E on the stand. Note by note she played. At first slow. Then steadier. The melody rising like a memory. The chords soft and aching. By the final page her hands shook. It was like speaking. Without speaking. Like telling a story only her fingers knew. When she finished she realized she was crying. The next Sunday she played it for Ellis. He sat back, eyes closed as she moved through the music like water, graceful, broken, healing. When the last note faded, he exhaled slowly. My God, he whispered. Maya watched him carefully. I didn't think I'd hear that song again, he said. Not ever. He reached out and placed something small in her hand, a key from the old piano, polished and strung on a piece of ribbon. For you. So you don't forget. She clutched it tightly. Not a word spoken. But something louder than sound had passed between them. Maya stood at the school lockers, clutching her notebook like a lifeline. Inside were the music sheets. Her drawings. Her only voice. She didn't see Zora coming. Still scribbling to your imaginary friend? Zora snatched the notebook before Maya could react. Let's see what the little mute's been hiding. Maya lunged. Too late. Zora flipped it open, reading aloud mockingly. He gave me a song. Made me feel safe. Oh, how precious. You in love with your wrinkly piano man now? A few kids laughed nearby. Maya's face burned. Then Zora did something Maya didn't expect. She tore a page right down the center. Maya gasped, silent but sharp. Her legs moved before her thoughts caught up. She pushed Zora. Art. Zora stumbled, eyes wide. You crazy? She spat. You'll get kicked out. Again. Maya grabbed the torn notebook and ran. She didn't stop at the school gate. Didn't stop at the crosswalk. Didn't stop until she was pounding on Ellis's door, soaked from the sudden downpour. He opened it quickly. Maya? She stood, dripping, hugging the ruined notebook. She didn't speak. Just walked past him, heading straight to the piano. Ellis followed quietly. She laid the torn music on the stand, hands trembling. And she played. Not just for E, this time. She played everything. The scales, the pieces she half remembered. The songs she'd begun to write in her dreams. Ellis sat down slowly, watching as her fingers moved with purpose. Fast, then slow. Soft, then crashing. It was raw. Unpolished. Beautiful. A conversation in music. When the final note echoed into the silence, Maya turned to him. Her throat ached. And then she did something she hadn't done in 6 months. She picked up a pencil and wrote, not in her notebook but on a fresh, clean sheet of paper, "Thank you for hearing me." Ellis blinked quickly, clearing his throat. "My wife," he said after a moment, "used to say music was the only language no one could lie in." Maya nodded. He added gently, "I'm glad you're speaking again. Even if it's still in keys." Later that evening, Ellis made cocoa, burned it slightly but Maya didn't mind. They sat near the old space heater, wrapped in blankets, listening to the record player spin a quiet jazz tune. He pulled out a photo. A woman in a headscarf, smiling beside a piano. "Mai," he said. "She would have liked you." Maya stared at the woman, then down at the piano key around her neck. She hadn't spoken out loud yet. But something inside her had shifted. The next morning she returned to the Kincaid's house. Mrs. Kincaid was waiting, arms crossed. "You think you can come and go like this?" she snapped. "You think this old man is going to save you?" Maya didn't respond. Zora lurked behind her, smirking. "I ought to call someone," Mrs. Kincaid muttered. "This arrangement isn't working." Maya walked silently to her room. She knew what was coming. But this time she wouldn't hide. She would play. 3 days later, a patrol car pulled up to Ellis's curb. Detective Ramirez stepped out. Her badge caught the sun. She knocked, firm and slow. Ellis answered with a calm expression that didn't quite reach his eyes. "We received a complaint," Ramirez said. "Minor visiting an unrelated adult without supervision." Inside, Maya sat at the piano bench. She heard the words but didn't move. Ramirez stepped into the doorway. "Sir, do you know Maya Kincaid?" "I do," Ellis said. "She's been playing here. That's all. She's a foster kid. Legally, she's not supposed to leave the house unsupervised." "She wasn't unsupervised," he said softly. "She was safe." Behind her, Maya stood. She held a letter in her hand. Ramirez turned. "I wrote this," Maya whispered, voice thin and ragged. "Please read it." The letter was short. Just a few lines. "Ellis never asked me to come. I came because I needed a place where people listen without needing me to talk. He didn't hurt me. He didn't scare me. He helped me hear myself again. Please don't take that away." The detective read it twice. Then looked back at Ellis. "You play?" she asked. He nodded toward the piano. "She does." 2 days later, Mrs. Kincaid was investigated. A file opened. A caseworker assigned. Zora rolled her eyes but said nothing this time. Maya packed slowly, slipping her worn notebook and the music sheets into her bag. She looked back at the room once, then shut the door without regret. Her new foster home was quieter, brighter. Her caseworker let her keep the old keyboard Ellis gifted her. She played every night now, soft songs, curious ones, songs that asked and answered without ever speaking. She visited Ellis every Sunday. Sometimes they played duets. Sometimes they just sat. One afternoon she gave him a new sheet of music. At the top, written in pencil, "For M.E." He raised an eyebrow. "Maya and Ellis," she explained. Out loud. No notebook. He teared up but said nothing. Spring came. The school announced a talent show. Maya signed up. Zora scoffed when she heard. "What's she gonna do? Mime chopsticks?" Joy smacked her gum and rolled her eyes. "You wish you had her kind of guts." The night of the recital, the auditorium was packed. Ellis sat in the second row, tie crooked, eyes shining. Maya walked onto the stage slowly. Alone. No cue cards. No support. Just her. She sat at the piano. Hands poised. Then she played. The first note trembled. The second stood taller. By the third there was no turning back. The room was quiet, holding its breath, as Maya poured everything into the keys: fear, rage, sorrow, joy, healing. When the final note rang out, she sat in stillness. Then leaned forward into the microphone. One word. Small. But clear. Thank you. The room erupted. Ellis stood, clapping the hardest of all. In the quiet that followed, Maya returned backstage and sat alone for a moment. She didn't cry. She smiled. The kind that said, I found my voice. And I'm never giving it back.